Your child does strange things every day. Sniffs walls, eats sand, hits himself on the head, and you don't understand what's happening. But the most shocking thing, he suddenly bites you, painfully and without warning. Why? Today, we will examine 17 strange child habits that have a scientific explanation, and in the last point, you will learn the real reason why your child bites you. Get ready to be surprised. First, why does your child lick the floor and walls? When your child crawls on the floor and suddenly starts to lick tile, the wood floor, or presses their tongue to the wall, you pull them away in horror, thinking of dirt and germs. But this is scientific study of the world by taste. Children are born with very sensitive taste receptors. They have 3 times more taste buds than adults. The tongue for the baby is the main tool of learning, more precise than sight or touch. By licking surfaces, the child gets information about texture, temperature, and the chemical makeup of the material. The floor is cold and smooth, the wall rough and warm. The brain records these facts, making a 3-dimensional map of the world. Licking dirty surfaces trains the immune system. Children who were allowed to lick everything at an early age have stronger immunity and fewer allergies later. The hygiene hypothesis confirms that a too sterile environment weakens immunity. Of course, you should not let them lick clearly dangerous spots, but the normal floor at home is not a disaster. Second, why does a child hit themselves on the head when upset? Your child gets angry, cries, and suddenly starts hitting their head with their fists, the forehead, the temples, or bangs their head on the wall, floor, furniture. It looks awful and scary. You fear they will hurt themselves. But this is a primitive way to regulate emotions. Small children cannot express frustration in words, do not know how to cope with overwhelming feelings. Physical pain is the only way they know to switch attention from emotional pain to physical pain. A hit creates a sharp sensory impulse that reboots an overloaded nervous system, like restarting a frozen computer. Blows to the head stimulate the release of endorphins, natural painkillers that calm. The child instinctively uses the biochemistry of their own body to self-soothe. Most children outgrow this habit by 3 to 4 years, when speech and the ability to self-regulate develop. Gently stop them, offer an alternative. Squeeze a ball, jump, shout into a pillow. Third, why does a child smell your armpit and neck? The baby crawls to you, buries its face in your neck or armpit, and breathes in deeply. Sometimes it stays there a long time, breathing your scent. It looks odd, especially if you are sweaty, but for the child, this is a vital safety ritual. A parent's scent is the strongest soothing cue for an infant. Pheromone levels are highest in the armpits and on the neck, an evolutionary mechanism. A newborn recognizes the mother by scent before by face or voice. When the child smells you, it literally recharges with calm and a sense of safety. Your scent activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowers cortisol, slows the heart rate. A chemical calm. Children seek a parent's scent most when stressed, after a fall, a fright, or in an unfamiliar place. The scent acts as a safety anchor. Interestingly, children prefer the scent of an unwashed parent. Sweat and natural pheromones matter more than perfume. Perfume can even irritate, masking the natural scent. Fourth, why does the child hide food in strange places? You find bits of bread behind the sofa, cookies and toys, fruit under a pillow, and think the child is being naughty or does not want to eat. But this is an ancient hoarding instinct set by evolution. In primitive times, access to food was unstable, and children who hid surpluses survived lean times. Your child does not know the fridge is always full. His brain runs the program, save for a rainy day. He does not trust that food will be there, so he creates stashes. It is especially strong in children who lived through food instability, hunger, limits, irregular meals. Even one experience of hunger can trigger this mechanism for life. Hiding food is a way to gain control. In a world where adults decide everything, a food stash is a personal zone of power where the child makes choices. Instead of punishments, create a legal stash, a box of snacks the child can access freely. Show that food is stable and available, and the instinct will gradually weaken. Fifth, why does the child stare at you without blinking for minutes? You are doing chores, and you feel a gaze. You turn. The child sits and stares at you without blinking. for several minutes in a row, like a little psychopath from a horror film. But this is an incredibly important process. Children learn to read emotions, facial expressions, social cues through watching. Your face is the most interesting object in the universe for the baby. He studies every micro-expression, every move of the brows, lips, eyes, memorizing patterns. When mom frowns, something is wrong. When she smiles, all is well. The child builds a database of human emotions through close watching. A long stare is a check of connection. You are still here? You pay attention to me? I am safe? Children fear being forgotten, abandoned, and constant visual contact confirms their existence. The little one cannot say, "I love you," but can look, soaking in your image. When you notice such a stare, smile, wink, say something gentle. It strengthens attachment. Sixth, why does a child eat sand, earth, and chalk? Your child on the playground puts a handful of sand into their mouth, chews, swallows, and you panic trying to pull it out. Or eats earth from a flower pot, chews chalk, plaster off the wall. This is called pica, eating non-food. In young children, this is often the body's way to make up for a lack of minerals. Sand and earth contain iron, calcium, magnesium, zinc. If the body lacks these elements, the brain sends a signal. Look for them in the environment. The child instinctively reaches for sources of minerals. Chalk is pure calcium, plaster is calcium and magnesium. Earth is a whole complex of trace elements. An old instinct from when people had no access to vitamin pills. Eating earth trains the immune system. Bacteria and microbes in the earth stimulate the growth of healthy gut flora. Of course, watch that the child does not eat obviously dirty or chemically treated earth. If the child eats non-food all the time, check iron and other mineral levels in the blood. Supplements may be needed. Seventh, why does the child walk on tiptoes constantly? The toddler learned to walk, but instead of placing the whole foot, walks on tiptoe like a ballerina, all the time, everywhere, and won't lower the heels. It looks cute, but is worrying. In most cases, this is idiopathic toe walking, a habit without disease. Kids do it for several reasons. Sensory sensitivity. The whole foot on the floor creates too much tactile input, especially on cold or textured surfaces. Toe walking reduces contact, lessens sensory overload. Shortening of the Achilles tendon from long sitting in certain poses or from being carried. The back calf muscles shorten, and lowering the heel becomes uncomfortable. Or just fun, and gives a sense of being taller, of power, of being grown up. The child feels taller, more important. Most kids outgrow this habit by 5 years. If toe walking continues after 3 years, consult a neurologist and an orthopedist. Sometimes it is a sign of neurological traits or autism. Eighth, why does a child collect garbage and junk? Your child brings home sticks, stones, broken toys, wrappers, scraps found on the street, and stores them like treasures. You can't throw them away. Tantrum. The room turns into a dump, but for the child it's not trash. It's a collection of meanings and memories. Each pebble is linked to an event. Found on that walk with mom, this one is pretty, this one looks like a heart. A stick is a sword, a magic wand, a fishing rod, a bridge for toys. For the child, items are alive, given history and potential. Throwing them away is betraying the memory, destroying the link. Gathering is an instinct set by evolution. Our ancestors survived by gathering resources. The child trains this skill, not distinguishing what is valuable and what is useless from an adult point of view. Collecting gives a sense of control and ownership in a world where adults control everything. Agree on a system. Once a month, review the collection together. Keep the most important, photograph the rest for memory, and let it go. Ninth, why does a child undress in public places? You are in a shop, on a playground, at someone else's, and the child suddenly starts pulling off clothes, takes off pants, a t-shirt, tries to get totally naked, not caring about the people around. You are shocked. People stare, and the child does not see a problem. The idea of decency and shame forms only by 4 to 5 years. A small child does not know social rules, does not know that nudity is not fit in public. For them, the body is natural. Clothes are an awkward limit. If it is hot, itchy, tight, it is logical to take them off. Adult rules make no sense. Undressing is a way to show discomfort when words are lacking. The child cannot say, "I 9am hot. This fabric irritates my skin, the tag itches," but can show it with actions. Children with sensory sensitivity undress especially often. For them, clothes feel like sandpaper on the skin. Instead of shouting and shaming, calmly put the child back in clothes. Explain, "We take clothes off at home or at the beach. In the shop, clothes stay on." Repeat patiently. With age, the child will learn the rule. 10th. Why does the child repeat one word 100 times in a row? Your child learned a new word, mama, give, why, and repeats it endlessly, hundreds of times a day in any context and out of context. Mama, 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 non-stop, until you go mad. But this is neuroplasticity at work. When a child masters a new skill, a word, a movement, a concept, the brain makes new neural links. To cement the link, many repeats are needed, literally hundreds of repeats to form a stable path in the brain. The child programs their brain, strengthening the link between sound, meaning, and articulation, like making a path in the woods. The more you walk it, the clearer the path. Repetition is a way to test the response. Each time saying mama, the child waits for an answer, learning how the word affects the world. If mama answers, the word works, the link is set. Repetition gives a sense of control and power over language, a heady discovery of influence on reality. A critical stage of speech development, which will pass when the brain cements the link and moves to the next word. 11th. Why does a child put objects into the nose and ears? A classic case in children's ERs. The child pushed a pea into the nose, a bead into the ear, a small toy where it should not be, and now cannot get it out. You panic, go to the doctor, asking, why do kids do this? Exploring body holes and testing limits. The child finds they have holes, nose, ears, mouth, and experiments. What will fit? What will happen? Pure scientific curiosity. The nose and ears are mysterious tunnels where something goes in and disappears. A test of cause and effect. I put it in, now what? Pain, stuck, adults panic. The child records the results of the experiment. Sometimes children put objects in to scratch an itch or ease a discomfort inside. Nasal blockage, ear itch from wax, solving the problem with the tools they have. Prevention. Explain in advance that nothing should be put into the nose or ears. Give an alternative. Special toys with holes where items can be safely put. If it happens, do not panic. Do not try to pull it out with tweezers yourself. You may push it deeper. Go to the doctor right away. 12th. Why does a child touch your face when you sleep? You are sleeping and feel a touch. A child stands over you and touches your face with fingers, strokes your cheeks, nose, lips, eyelids, studies every feature. Sometimes even tries to open your eyes or put a finger in your mouth. It looks creepy, but is incredibly touching in meaning. A parent's face is a source of safety and love. When a child touches your face, the child confirms the bond, makes sure you are real, here, alive. A parent's sleep scares small children. You lie still, do not react, as if dead. A touch is a check. Are you alive? Are you warm? Will you wake up? The face is a map of emotions. The child studies the topography of your face by touch, memorizing each detail. Visually, the child knows your face, but tactilely. A new level of information. How the brows feel, what the skin on the cheeks is like, what the shape of the nose is. Creating a multi-sensory image of mother or father is especially important for children with vision impairments or heightened tactile sensitivity. 13th. Why does the child refuse to wear certain colors? Your child flatly refuses to put on clothes of a certain color, red, yellow, white, throws tantrums, rips them off, cries, but cannot explain why. You think it is a whim, but actually a deep sensory or emotional reaction. Children perceive colors more intensely than adults. Their visual system has not yet learned to filter excess input. Some colors cause physical discomfort. Bright red may seem aggressive, loud, painful to the eyes. Yellow, too stimulating, causing anxiety. White, blinding, lacking safety. A color can be linked to an unpleasant experience. A red t-shirt was on him when he fell and hurt himself. Now red is linked to pain. The brain made the link, and the child avoids the color to avoid a repeat of the trauma, a primitive defense reaction. Or the child heard that villains wear black and now fears black clothes as a marker of danger. Child logic is not always rational. Do not force the child to wear the color. Offer alternatives in comfortable colors. 14th. Why does a child copy animal sounds for hours? Your child has learned to meow, bark, moo, oink, and now does it non-stop for hours in all situations. At home, outside, when visiting. He does not just play, he lives in the role of an animal, refuses to answer in human speech, demands to be called a cat or a dog. Top-level role play. The child explores identity through transformation. Being an animal is an attempt to understand how other beings feel and think, a development of empathy and imagination, a way to express emotions and needs that are hard to put into words. Animals, in a child's view, are free, can do what they want, do not follow rules. Becoming a dog is a temporary escape from the demands to be a good child. One can crawl, bark, act on impulse without blame, for you are a dog, not a person. A psychological release through play. Imitating sounds develops the speech organs, teaches control of breath, vocal cords, articulation. Many animal sounds are harder than human words. Try to purr properly. 15th. Why does the child sniff everything new before touching it? Your baby gets a new toy, food, item, and the first thing he does, brings it to his nose and sniffs, long, thoroughly, only then touches or tastes it. It looks strange, especially when he sniffs non-food things. Books, stones, clothes. Smell in children is a primary sense, older and more reliable than sight. Newborns learn the mother by smell before by her face. Sniffing before contact is a safety check. Smell tells more than sight. Food is spoiled. Smell will warn. An item is dangerous, chemical. The nose will sense it before the hands. An evolutionary safeguard. Smell makes memory. Each new object gets an odor tag in the brain. Later, meeting a similar smell, the child will recall the whole set of experience tied to the object. Smell and memory are tightly linked. Scent activates the hippocampus, the store of memories. By smelling the world, the child builds a library of experience. In some children, the sense of smell is especially sharp. They tell apart the finest scent shades, unavailable to adults, a sign of high sensory sensitivity or even giftedness in certain fields. 16th. Why does a child sleep in impossible poses? You come to check a sleeping child and find them in an utterly unthinkable pose. Butt up, face in the pillow, legs thrown over the headboard, arms under the body, neck bent at an incredible angle. You fear they will suffocate or break something, try to turn them. They immediately return to the strange pose. Children sleep like this for several reasons. Flexibility. Children's joints and ligaments are incredibly flexible. Poses that seem painful to an adult are comfortable for a child. Seeking pressure and boundaries, the butt up, face down. Pose creates pressure on the belly and chest, which calms the nervous system. Self-soothing via proprioception, the sense of the body in space. Pressure equals safety. Residual memory of the womb pose. Twisted, cramped poses remind of the fetal position, activate an ancient memory of comfort and safety. Temperature regulation. Children overheat more easily than adults. Odd poses with limbs sticking out help cool them. If the child breathes normally and sleeps calmly, do not interfere. 17th. Why does the child bite you? Here we have come to the main question. Why your beloved baby suddenly bites you, sometimes drawing blood, without warning, and cannot explain the cause. Bites are not aggression and not spite, but a set of causes linked to brain development and the inability to show feelings. The first and main cause is an overflow of feelings. Children up to 3 or 4 years old do not know how to regulate strong feelings. When a child feels strong love, joy, excitement, he is literally bursting. The nervous system is overloaded, and the only way to release the tension is a physical act. A bite is a discharge of energy too strong to keep inside. He bites not from a wish to cause pain, but from the inability to express, "I love you so much, I don't know what to do with it." The second reason is testing cause and effect. What will happen if I bite? Will mom shout, cry, scold? The child studies reactions, checks the limits of what is allowed. The child studies reactions, checks the limits of what is permitted.